I just burnt myself with coffee. Hey guys, it's your girl Aisha, aka Geek XX Chic, and I'm back with another reaction to the Gifted. A reaction to the reaction. Well, that's incepting on my own, but Gifted. We are now on episode 15, which is called Monsters. Last episode, we had a lot go down as far as the Purifiers attacking the Morlocks as per Reva's orders. And Jace, well, we're not even talking about Jace because he's a lost cause. But I think the biggest shocker was that Clarice looked like she died while trying to save a little girl and Erg from the Purifiers once all the other mutants that were underground that were trying to help them had perished. It was quite, as I said in my review at length, it was very interesting to have Clarice be the person who died in that fashion, considering that the reason she left John in the first place is because she didn't want to go out like a hero. So when news of this gets out, as Reva has predicted, it's not going to go over well. So without further ado, let's get into this episode and see what we see, and we will chat about it after, okay? Boop.
Everything, really. And I'm here with you, and I just feel...
You know, these linens are quite nice for people who was like living the bare bones.
And open up the world to the stars. And just wish that I was somewhere. Anywhere else.
Show me.
But don't break nothing. This is not your house, okay? It's an apartment building.
I used to think about portaling to nowhere. And just going. Being everywhere.
Anvil drop.
Spaces between everything. Are you saying that I should stay here? With the rest of the broken toys?
I mean, girl, why wouldn't you?
Always.
I could deal with being imperfect if that's what I gotta be imperfect with. You feel me?
Get off the road!
Killer Kate. The version of the Fast and the Furious SUV style.
This is your fault.
Yeah, I agree. Fully.
But I didn't lure her down into the tunnels.
Oh, a little bit.
You drove her to us.
Oh, you son of a... Please. I tell you to punch him, but it ain't worth it. Yeah. Sorry. He kind of deserved it.
Come on.
Okay, do we have time for this right now?
I'm sorry.
Yes, that should have been your first response, not, oh, you drove her there. Man's clearly grieving a woman he's known far longer than your ass.
Prepare yourselves.
Oh, that was a side look at Lorna.
This is crazy. It's actually happening.
Hard to believe.
How is no one seeing that Lorna looks like she's literally been hit with a Mack truck? Like her guilt just written all over her face.
If there were kids down there, they're gonna grow up to be the same monsters that killed our friend.
Wow, here we go.
How can you say that? You don't know that.
Exactly.
When you ripped that planet out of the sky and saved us all, that's the whole reason I joined the Inner Circle.
Wow.
Angie, look,
Close the door.
you know that wasn't easy, right?
Close the door.
You do something like that, those scars stay with you.
That's okay, he doesn't have a conscience.
Guess I'll have a few scars then.
See?
What the hell is he doing? I gotta go talk to him.
Yeah, he likes to punch things.
John?
Can we go?
What are you doing?
Can we punch something that's, you know, hidden?
Saw what happened. I saw her fall.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Can we do this someplace hidden?
He's not here.
Reed, what are you doing? Reed? Honey, we're not quite there yet with your powers. Let's not agitate yourself right now. Let's breathe. Let's meditate. Yeah. Assault rifles. Get your behind. Y'all, this episode's gonna stress me out. Behind you? Yeah.
Sir?
Saw that coming.
You seem awful worried about my pals over there. You want to tell me why?
They have assault rifles.
Assault rifles outside, and I was concerned.
Yeah, a little scary. Didn't I tell you? There we go. You want to continue this conversation?
Don't you make a sound. We're not gonna stop till we wipe you all out. Shut up! Just shut up!
Yes! Burn him! Burn him up! Burn him up! This little bitch that you get for killing that kid. Yes! Murder! Woo! Reed!
This is crazy.
Man, his powers do bring out the worst in him. Damn. This von Strucker juice.
Where did you go now?
Yeah, I kinda killed someone, guys.
Please.
Let's go.
John.
John. Y'all, do we have time for this?
You're too on. Go, go, go.
You're lucky you only used the flash that time. Reed turned it off, though. Look at that. You turned it off by yourself, baby. Yes. Baby steps.
It breaks my heart. The people are depending on us. We have to get through this. No, please, just get inside.
Sorry, Lauren. One of the first lessons you gotta learn as a superhero is that you can't save everyone as much as you want to. Kate's right on this one. Oh, poor John. He's just having a full-blown bout of PTSD right now.
John.
So where exactly are we going?
The sewage tunnel system underneath DC. There's an entrance in the train yard near here.
That's why the Morlocks had to be cleared out.
I used to have a thing for train.
Yeah, that's what you get for wearing white heels to a sewer.
Find something we might be able to splice into an open wire.
Okay, because Caitlin knows about that now. Ain't nothing Killer Kate doesn't know how to do. She's like a utility knife.
Are you gonna handle that?
Should Reed be drinking coffee? I feel like any stimulant's a bad idea right now.
Get down!
I think y'all could have at least... Okay. There's way more guns, Kate. You've got one.
Kill them right now, but they will come back. No, please don't leave me. Mom, listen to me. Please.
It's kind of the smartest choice. Chances are at least they won't kill her when they realize she's human.
I'm not leaving.
Well then.
Your powers. They're back. So, we can do this.
She's the guy just needed a little bit of emotional blackmail and just like that.
Might be able to get us in there.
How? They got all the entrances covered.
Magic hands!
Make a new one. Get me to the building.
I disintegrate things, remember, Marcos? Just make sure it's not a support beam, okay? Yeah. Just go, just go, just go, just go. Thank you. No!
They want us dead. Why would they help her?
She's using them to take out her competition. So her mutant uprising is all that's left.
That's insane. I don't believe that.
It's sense, so I can't possibly take it in.
Andy, we have to get out of here now.
And ain't going nowhere.
I'm sorry. I can't leave.
What?
Powers, don't let us down now. Come on, Destructo Man. Come on, Lava Boy. Come on, don't crap yourself trying so hard.
And your wife and your daughter, they're in there and they need your help.
I hate to say it, but firing them up's a good idea.
Line them down.
Oh, well.
Daddy! Daddy's help! Don't shoot him.
Reed,
Could you just go?
It's okay.
Let's go.
Oh,
Let's
God,
go.
I really get to see you, but the cops gonna know.
Yes, please.
Stay. That's pretty cool.
Yes, embrace, Reed. Embrace your people.
Nathaniel, he needs to talk to you.
Do we have time for this family moment?
Put him on.
Will you talk to your father, boy? Please don't decimate the last piece of trust or hope I got for you.
Hey, I'm a monster.
what is he saying?
Reed.
You don't have to say anything.
Reed, it has to come from
I
you.
understand why I can't. I killed a man.
Confession is good for the soul. I was like, what?
And I killed him. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to.
This Von Strucker juice, y'all.
If you're a monster, something so much.
I don't know if this is the right way to bond,
I have
but
to go.
yeah, I was like, Andy's like, wait. I was supposed to be the bad one.
If you hadn't stopped that man, he would have shot you.
He would have killed you.
You didn't have a choice.
It was self-defense. And if you didn't have powers, you probably would have knocked him out.
You are a good man.
Wow, she is a brave woman. I would not be touching his hands and stuff. Nothing below the neck.
Not good.
Funny.
It hurts. Everyone that I love dies. You can't blame me.
It's kind of sad, but true at the moment.
Die in vain from hating myself and not saving her.
You were in shock, babe. I know it was hard on you last episode, but it happened real quick. And the root of it all, daddy issues. Telling you, you gotta hug him, Lauren. You kind of have to. You gotta hug him. Now you see all this nonsense. Y'all could be together. You and your baby and your man could, but see, Lorna, all this nonsense and this mess that you got yourself into, y'all could have been a family right up in here. This is just a long ass way around to where you should have been in the first place. Okay, rant done. Yo. Okay, my girl, I want you to be here, but you either have to be here or leave because John needs to focus. Come on, real friends hug. Real friends hug. That's right.
They're gone.
Why do I have telepaths if they can't tell if my people are gonna...
I mean, I've been asking this all season long. Y'all, that was a monsters. Good episode. It was kind of interesting overall. No, I think I like that episode. I actually kind of like how they took us through the journey of the feels of everyone in this episode. I guess we'll just jump right in. We'll jump right into some of the things that I really liked. Let's talk about Reed first and foremost. Reed and the journey to his powers. It has been a long journey. I really didn't think they'd take us the entire season for him to come to a place, which I talked about a lot in the last review, where he has to mentally and emotionally accept that he's a mutant and embrace his powers. And I think, in the last review, I talked a lot about the fact that, his father telling him that his powers were wrong, on top of the fact that, what his grandparents did. It was understandable why Reed had so many emotional and mental blocks against his abilities outside of the serum his father gave him. But in the end, I think the reason he was struggling so much with his powers before is because he refused to accept them. He refused to accept that he was a mutant. He refused to accept that it was a part of him. And so it's amazing, there's so many things out there that talk about so many scientific findings and research that say, like, your brain is such a powerful thing. Like, we've only scratched the surface of how amazing our brains are. Your brain can just, if you mentally are telling yourself something so strongly, you will believe it even if it's not true. Do you know what I'm saying? And in Reed's case, he was so mentally and emotionally pitted against the idea of being a mutant, that it just was literally affecting his biochemistry and his ability to do what he needed to do with his powers. So, as I said at the beginning of the season, back when he was with the doctor who was the Purify's sister, who was like, oh, you're gonna die, your power's gonna kill you. No, he's not. Reed is a through and through mutant. He was born with his abilities. His abilities are stable. The only reason that his father put him on that serum was because he was terrified that Reed could potentially be like his grandparents. And my guess is, even though they haven't shown it chronologically in the show, I would very much believe that after his dad saw the effects that the music box had on Reed is when he decided to give Reed the serum. Reed just needed to come to this realization that, and that's one of the things I really, really liked in this episode. I really liked the moment between Reed and Kate where Reed was having a very honest question about look, when my powers came over me earlier and I killed that man, you saw the look in Reed's face. It wasn't all just self-defense. There was a little bit of, I'm kind of liking this. You know what I mean? He kind of, when the power surged through him, you could see that it definitely changed the way he felt. And that power is addicting. Lauren said it already. Andy has said it. The power that they wield does have a very seductive effect on them if they don't recognize it. He was saying to Kate, I know I felt like maybe this is all dark. Maybe our powers, this whole lineage that I have is just all bad all the time. And she was basically saying that's not the case. You choose. You don't have to be chained to your past. You don't have to be a prisoner of what history has done or the way that someone else chose to do something that was in your shoes. You have every capability to choose how you're going to go forward. And that's what Kate kind of said to him, you can choose the path. You have to show our kids that this can be different. You need to teach them that there's a responsible way and a positive way that they can use their abilities and choose a different way than their great grandparents did. I really like that moment. I think that's where Reed really needed to come to that decision. And I wish we could have gotten this earlier in the season, but it was what Reed really needed to do to finally kind of complete this long walkabout of his powers that we started at the beginning of the season. And I think it's really going to help him going forward. Then we also had the Killer Kate and Lauren moments with Kate basically telling the Morlocks to scatter and then her taking Lauren and going. An interesting moment where Lauren kind of confronts her mom and is like, wait, like, did you make us split up because you knew that the cops were probably going to catch some of them and it would give us more time? And Kate had to be like, I didn't think of it in the sense of I want to sacrifice Morlocks. I was thinking of it in the sense of I have to save myself, the only human in this group, and not to mention the fact that, let's face it, the Morlocks, they're going to be arrested. Hopefully, God forbid, they're not killed. They might be arrested and taken to jail for being mutants. Lauren and Kate are wanted already. There's an outstanding warrant for them as it stands. So it's going to be a lot worse for them if they're captured. Not to mention the fact that Reva and co are controlling Homeland Security, not controlling, but they've got people in Homeland Security that would make sure that those two never saw the light of day again. So Kate made the right call in that moment, in that, like, I'm sorry, like, we have more to lose than they do potentially as far as if we get caught. So I had to figure out the best way to save it. She was right at that point. I mean, if there was any chance, there was no way they were going to be able to hide as a group of what was like 10 people. They had to split up. And so I said it in the reaction, and the reality is, as heroes, any vigilantes or superheroes, if you read the comics, they always have the moment where they figure out that you just can't save everyone. You wish you could, you try your best, but there are times when you're just going to have to make decisions that are going to cost some people dearly. It was a hard lesson, but I'm glad Lauren kind of saw where her mom was coming from there. And, you know, I mentioned the whole like utility knife Kate, which, I mean, it's just it's too long to say. That's why I'm sticking with Killer Kate. But when she was all like, yeah, we could just splice some cables and work out a phone line, I'm like, girl, when did you learn how to do all this stuff? I'm not saying Kate's stupid here, guys. I'm not trying to say that she's not smart or anything, but it just feels like she conveniently knows a lot of information all of a sudden this season. I'm just like, girl, what's been happening? How is Kate always have an answer for something? Suspension of disbelief, making Kate useful. I can get on board with that. But anyway, so that was basically their whole thing. And I'm glad that it was really nice to see that Kate was willing to sacrifice herself to get Lauren out, because again, as I said in the reaction, if the cops catch her and they realize she's human, at least there would be more of a chance for her to be given due process and have some semblance of security within the police system. Whereas with Lauren, they would probably just throw a collar on her and God knows what would happen. So that was nice to see, especially since the theme of the majority of this season has been Kate putting Andy first. John, my poor boy John. I felt for him this episode. It's been a really long season for that poor guy. Between just watching the underground fall apart in front of him, between all the L's that he took, trying to be a leader, trying to keep things together, trying to keep this dream alive that he started so many years ago, it's just been hit after hit for him. And as I said so many times in other reviews, like, he's a leader. He's someone who very much takes having a purpose and having that type of responsibility so seriously, and to just keep seemingly failing at it was just such a blow to him. We saw, like I said, his powers were even disintegrating throughout the season because of the emotional and mental stress it was putting on him. Now Clarice was the final straw. You know what I mean? It was the final straw for him. Because let's not forget that just a few weeks ago, he came within an inch of his life. He got shot with how many buckshots, and, you know, just everything. And then just to have Clarice seemingly die in front of him, too much. That was his breaking point. He finally was like, y'all, I just have to sit down. And that moment at the end with him and Marcos, the feels. I love that first and foremost. I love when shows have moments between two guys. You got two heterosexual, you know, alpha in their own ways guys, but they have this moment where where Marcos is like, how are you? And John's just like, I'm not good. Like, I'm literally just barely keeping it together. It hurts. Everything hurts. I miss her so much. Like, I love that he was just able to just open up and share those feelings that everyone has, and men have them, and they should be allowed to and feel free to express that and not have to worry about you know, am I being tough enough as the leader in front of my dude friend here? He was just able to just be broken for a few moments. And I love that we saw Marcos just get right in that moment and empathize with him and just be like, dude, I can, you know, I get it. Like, let's just be broken together for a few moments. But then, as he said, I don't care if your powers are on the fritz. That's not why we care about you. What's more important is, like, we know it's going to go down. Let's make sure that her death wasn't just to save these Morlocks. Let's make sure we take down the people who caused this in the first place. Like, channel all that pain that you're feeling right now and put it where it belongs. Aim it in the right direction in the people who started this whole thing. But it was lovely to see that he feels so much for her, and they had this great bond after really being together a relatively short time. But as we saw, happily, John said two things happened that were pretty encouraging. One, John saying that when he was tracking, he kept seeing Clarice and that he felt her. When with his abilities is a very real thing, that he could be feeling or sensing her presence in between the dimensions. Well, I said there's two things, there's three. Then there was the flashback at the beginning where Clarice says that she's often thought about teleporting to nowhere because there's so many pockets and places that are in between. So that could be where she is right now, healing up. And so many of you guys in the comments commented on how Clarice's abilities in the comics allow her to portal into places where, like, alternate dimensions where she's healed up and then returned when she's back to normal. So I think that the show is, I'm hoping that her mentioning that this episode is a very big anvil drop, that might be what she did in her final moment, or at least the moments before she fell into her portal. And then the third thing, of course, was we heard her calling out to him when he was on the balcony. And they made sure it was in a way that made it seem like it could potentially just be John hearing things. But I think we can safely believe that she's out there. Maybe she hasn't figured out how to come back yet because she's never done this before. Or maybe she's just not strong enough to come back. But I'm holding out hope that we haven't lost Clarice entirely. But I don't know if we'll see her again in the finale. Finally, on to Lorna and Andy. Lorna, as I said before, like, y'all, when I saw at the end that Reva was like, how do I have 3 telepaths? 3 damn telepaths. And ain't none of y'all knew that this chick was about to bounce. I've been saying this a while, actually. Plot, you know, that plot blocking. It created a shield like Magneto's helmet around those girls and they could not see nothing. But they did admit that they sensed that she was undecided, but that she never really acted on her indecision in the past. Dangerous things to say in front of Lorna, but it also makes me wonder why they didn't just read her mind. But I have a theory that potentially because Lorna is a magnetic creature and she's always got like a magnetic field around her, maybe it's harder for the triplets to read her mind directly. What is important though is that Lorna was looking guilty AF during that meeting where Reva was like, this is it guys, everything we've worked towards, we're finally almost there, one last march. Like, this should have been where everyone was like, yes. And Lorna was like, really? This is what we doing? Like, seriously, how did no one pick up on the fact that's like, no, she's not reacting the way someone should after all the blood, sweat, and tears that they put into this. It was pretty written all over her face that something is going on here. And Reva was just like, anyways, on to my glorious speech and this Slade hairdo. It was all in aid of her being able to come full circle once again from recognizing the decision she made rather rashly at the end of season 1 to join this cause without actually doing the research and figuring out maybe this isn't quite the right way I want to do this. As she said to Andy, she wants the idea of a homeland or a place that's safe for mutants to be able to live and exist and have their families, but she doesn't want to go about it in this way. And again, I think I said this way back in the early part of the season, but if she had just taken a minute and done her research, maybe tried to find out more about the inner circle first, maybe she wouldn't have been so quick to jump on board. But I'll give her a pass because she was hormonally pregnant and mamas go into a real protection / nesting mode when they're pregnant. You know, they're all about that baby and keeping it safe. So I think a lot of decisions she made at that point were based on just keeping Dawn safe at all costs. Andy, on the other hand, interesting that he said that Lorna was the reason why he decided to join. The fact that she took the plane down was what his push to go ahead and join the inner circle was. And that's a lot. I mean, poor Lorna's just like, oh damn, that's not quite the effect I was hoping to have with that. But also Andy took that the wrong way because Lorna didn't just pull that down out of a sense of, you know, screw these humans. she knew that the person in that plane was going to directly come for her. But again, I'm not justifying that she should have brought the plane down. We know why she did it. It was a choice, but it wasn't quite the way that Andy was describing it to be. And I'm glad that she expressed to him as well that, like, if you think I don't carry that with me, that I'm just walking around like everything's great, it's not. Like, taking a life is not natural, and it leaves real scars that don't ever go away. But I have to say that I had to laugh a little to myself that Lorna was more than ready to leave Andy's behind there. Especially after she said the whole thing about, hey, killing people, really awful, really hard on you emotionally as a person. And his response was like, well, I guess I'm gonna get some battle scars then. I do like that. I mean, the moments between her and Andy were interesting. This episode, like, I feel like we needed more of this where Andy was concerned throughout the season. This is where I feel like the writers might have failed Andy's character and made it so easy for me to be so annoyed with him all season long. Is that when we had this moment of him, like when Lorna finally expressed everything about how Lorna did the hit, or sorry, that how Reva put the hit on the Morlocks and all the things that she's been doing that are completely contradictory to what she's feeding to the group. We see Andy basically reeling at first, but then recognizing that it doesn't make sense. That just finally, thank God, he was finally like, okay, this does not add up. I like that he finally was like, you know what? I don't know if I can go back because I've done a lot of things and I've acted in a certain type of way, and I don't know that I belong with my family who's been really kind and welcoming and loving towards me despite all of that. Like, maybe I do belong here with these monsters, as he put it. I'm glad that Lorna called the parents. Like, I get where he was coming from. He is a 15-year-old. He's a big hormonal mess. He is young. He's going to make a lot of mistakes at this point. But this is the first time truly since maybe the second episode, maybe, or the third, that we've seen Andy do true self-reflection. And what bothered me is that we didn't see any of this. Like with Lorna, we've always seen her have moments of self-reflection, even when she was still being fairly gung-ho about the whole inner circle plan back in the beginning. But we didn't see that with Andy a lot. We kind of saw him have a little, like, one or two moments of trepidation more about the fact that he knew where his parents were and he was still trying to contact Lauren. But that was it. As far as all the stuff that he was doing that was completely shady or mean or psychotic, he was just always like, whatever. And what would have made me more sympathetic to him earlier was seeing some more self-reflection and some natural ambivalence. That's what I would see in someone who's typically redeemable. Even Jace has had more self-reflection than Andy, even though I don't believe that there's any saving Jace, right? So this is what I wanted to see. So it was nice to finally see in this episode, hear Andy actually say things like, you know, actually, I don't know if they'll take me back. I don't know if I should be with my family after what I've done. Like, I'm not sure that I'm still the same person that sat with the kid that nobody liked in school. That's the kind of stuff I would have really liked to have seen with Andy in more episodes instead of just seeing him mindlessly just follow orders that Reva gave him and then just spout out a lot of angry stuff towards the people who loved him. Even some ambivalence about the way that he dealt with his parents or the way that what he's put them through, any of that, but we didn't really get to see it, and that's what made it very frustrating for me and hard for me to empathize with his character. This episode, I empathized with Andy because I actually saw it, I heard it. The show can't just leave these things as up to interpretation. You need to show us, it's a show. So I'm glad that they did do it in this episode because it would have been really hard for me to take him just suddenly showing up with his parents if we hadn't seen him and heard him talk about these things. And then that moment on the phone when he's with his dad, which I'm so glad it came from Reed because it could not come from his mom. He needed to hear from his dad, who he actually is the most like, because that's who we've seen since season 1, is the person he's always kind of seeking approval from and then gets so upset when he feels like that approval is not there, or that, like, that anything that Andy's offering has been rejected. So it was very important that it was Reed to be the one to tell Andy, look, I understand that you are feeling some type of way about the things that you've done. I understand what it's like to do things and really question your character after you've done them. And then he told him about, of course, killing, what was his name, Wilson? I like that he basically opened up and he was vulnerable with Andy. And that was such a massive thing because with children, that's what it comes down to. Not just children, people in general. If you can be vulnerable with people you care about, that's really what strengthens bonds and makes people really believe you and open up to you, is when you're not trying to talk to them from a place of being above them or judgmental or superior. People don't respond to that. We tend to actually rebuff it. So when someone actually opens up and is vulnerable with you and shows you who they really are, That's the kind of stuff that draws people in and draws them to you. And Andy really needed to hear that, particularly from Reed, because Reed was, especially in season 1, the super judgy, superiority complex person out of the family. And I do like that at the end. That's why I just said when he came back in the house, of course his mom was going to run to him, but it was very important that Reed be the one to give him that hug and be like, no, you're here. We welcome you back. We just want you to do better. We just want you to choose better. We're not gonna, we're gonna let that go. We're gonna let your craziness for the past year go by. So I'm glad that they all came back, and even with John at the end, because we saw in the beginning too that John said he still felt that Andy and Lorna were still in the redemption circle. So I like that he just kind of gave Andy that nod, like it's all right, like all's forgiven, let's just keep going. So all in all, really good episode. Not surprising at all in the end to see Reva saying she has to kill them now. As I said, I never really felt like it was a matter, like we saw that she was willing to kill Andy in the beginning of the season when she thought he was going to back out and want to go back home. So I don't think that Andy was ever that pertinent to her plan. I think obviously it was helpful, but she literally has a world of mutants that she has access to that she could pick to do very similar things if she needed to. So yeah, that was the episode. I'm not going to talk about Jace because there's nothing to talk about. It's the same old round and round with him, like to the point where I don't even, it's so predictable that I've just ceased to care. What did you guys think of this episode? How are you guys feeling about how everyone's regrouping up again? And where do you think Clarice is? Do you think she's going to pop back in anytime soon? Or do you think we're just going to have this aura of her presence the rest of the season? Please leave your comments below. I love reading them and getting involved in that conversation with you. And if you like this video, guys, please click like. And if you want to see more from this geeky face, please click subscribe. Until next time, see ya.